Hello.
Hello, Glenn.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, it's Danny.
How come you hung up?
I was talking, and I don't think you heard me. I was like, it's me. Can you hear me?
No, I couldn't hear.
I'm trying a new service where it's called Google Voice, and it's like a...
Well, it had no voice.
It was voiceless, right?
Yeah.
It was like a silent film. But this way I don't actually have to spend money on a calling card. They just said, like, I can make free calls to Canada. So I was like, all right. So let's see.
Is that on your computer?
It's through invite only. A friend of mine invited me. It took him about a month to get on. But I have an application on my phone, on my BlackBerry, so I can call right from my phone. So I'm going to spread the word to anyone who has like that type of phone. So if they want to call you, because people always complain that they they might live in another country or something, or they don't have calling cards. So I'm just going to spread the word. You can call for free. So no excuses.
Yeah.
They would ask Glenn this. Can you ask Glenn why? Why don't you ask Glenn that? Like why have that? Or people ask me, when you're on
that way you can be the funnel.
I don't want to be there. There's no fun being the funnel,
No fun being a funnel.
The way they asked me, okay, so when you got there, how much time did you spend on the code? How much, like they wanted to know, okay, well, at 8:30 a.m., he woke me up, and from there we spent 25 minutes discussing it. Like, come on, man. Who asks those type of questions? Don't be scared. He doesn't bite, Unless you make him bite.
I haven't been known to bite for a long time. Matter of fact, I don't even remember when. The only time I bite is when the media calls.
Yeah.
And I tell them I don't speak to the media. Why not? Well, I made a decision that I don't speak to the mob or the media, since they're both the same team.
Yes. Yes.
That may be classified as biting.
It's all right. They're usually the ones doing the biting anyway, so.
Yeah.
So your birthday's coming up, huh?
Yeah. I pass the 69 and enter the 70th year of my rebirth.
So you're what, 40,070 now?
42,010.
Okay. Yes. Oh, it's
42,000. I was born in 1942. Exactly 300 years after, what is it, the Phoenix? When did the Phoenix begin? 1492.
1492, yeah. Yeah.
It was 1492, so I was 42, 50 years before then.
I was born in 82.
82. He said, that doesn't seem possible. That's too soon. 40 years later? Nah, come on. Either you're too young or I'm too old.
What's the difference?
Can we flip and say you were born in 62? So what's new, Danny boy?
Well, actually, I've been, I think I concluded that you're absolutely right on with the Asians or Japanese specifically having the ROM type of memory. And I'm seeing it through when I'm practicing shamisen, the rhythms that they have, it's almost, I don't know how to describe it, like an inside-out, backwards rhythm compared to the Western music. That kind of like it feels like it's a progression moving forward, where this one feels like it's going like backwards into itself. It's a weird rhythm for someone like me to get used to, you know. But that's their logic, their musical logic. So I'm like, wow, it's like it's very.
It has to be linked to the way they think. Right.
That's what I'm getting at. It's like, and the language too, which I've been studying. The logic. I mean, I guess I'll stick to the music real quick. With Americans, we have like at least with say rock or most modern music, it's the drum beat music, and it's always like this progression type of. And they allow improvisation, like with jazz or live music. But that improvisation is only, I think, that RAM memory can handle, because it has to be thinking or not thinking, like to be able to pull those improvisations out. Or with ROM, they're very strict because they can't go outside of that box too well,
Are there any Japanese jazz people?
From Japan, or you mean ones that are born here?
No, from Japan.
Sounds
like an oxymoron.
Kind of. Well, the music that I showed, I brought to your house, was kind of their equivalent to a jazz, where they claim it's improv. But if I follow, for instance, one of the players around and hear a couple of his shows from different locations, they claim that it's improv, but I hear the same exact notes. Like, they're not really improv. Improv to me is on the spot. You're thinking of something, or to play. They're kind of they thought of their own version of the song, and then they just play that to everyone. I don't see a true improv. So I don't know if there's the traditional jazz groups. There's probably like one, or there has to be at least a couple somewhere, maybe hidden around there.
Yeah, on top of the mountain, ready to jump in. Gee.
So it's funny, like, so only
but they are, of course, robots since the visit by the Jesuits. They were basically warrior society and turned around to being follower society.
Yeah. Subservient. Yeah.
Does that mean that it can be done to anyone? It's a little bit like when the system said, okay, you don't believe we can do anything to human beings? Just watch. What is the most uptight society in the West? And everybody would raise their hands and say, Germany. Okay, let's put a line down the middle and divide the population in two. And one we give money to, the other one we give poverty to, and see what happens. And the Germans just fell in line.
Yeah.
They lived with the problem for, 40 years or something.
It's a science, right? Yeah, you're right. I think they give the Japanese a task, and they're just there to perfect it. That's like when they spit it out, it's just perfected, whatever it is, I think.
And it fits in a 1-bedroom apartment. So that's why they always have to miniaturize everything, because there's a limited amount of space there. So the proper place to come and say, I got this 6'3" Neanderthaler here, and he needs to fit inside this person's neck. Can you handle that? Sure. Give us a week.
Around the clock work, and they have no problem. Because a lot of people ask me, like, oh, what's their religion? They're Shinto or Buddhist, and from the people I've spoken with, they're like, no, we don't practice, a religion, but I think just from observing them that their religion is working.
Yeah.
They have to always be working and caring about what others think. You know, a friend of mine told me, like, yeah, if I was telling Jared this, it's like, if you have your girlfriend over or your wife and she's, you know, a little loud at night, if you know what I mean, and the neighbors hear it, and then if they confront you or anything like that, basically you have to move into a different location. You can't live there anymore because it's just like what people think about you and stuff like that.
You've lost face.
Yes, yeah. So they actually have hotels designed. They call them love hotels, so couples can go there and, you know, especially a nice motel or a hotel, and they can do whatever they want there. But so just to save face, yeah.
Well, that's what makes it so difficult for Western women to adapt to Japanese lifestyles, because they're constantly having to pay attention to the fact that what they do may cause their husband to lose faith.
Yep.
How come you let your wife do that?
There's actually a trend that's going on right now where guys who have been married, a lot of people, the husband will, say, work in Tokyo and the wife lives in another city, Osaka or something. And he comes home maybe every 6 months. And it's like old-fashioned for them to actually, you know, have sex with their wives. So they have all these other women that they see. And it's okay, like it's all accepted at work and everything like that. Like they're like, "Why you sleep with your wife? Like, what's wrong with you?" They're like that, you know? And the wives know about it, but they don't do anything. Now they're starting to divorce. They said, like, more recently, I guess the past 10 years, the women are starting to divorce the husbands. But it used to be just a tradition that the men could do that. The woman's just there to keep the house clean and, you know.
Well, they're a little better off than Arabs, because when Arabs aren't sleeping with their wives, they're sleeping with little boys.
Ugh. Yeah, destroyed the demon female, huh?
That's why they wear dresses, I guess.
I
still can't understand how an entire society can be convinced to walk around in a dress from neck to ankle and try to do work. You know?
Yeah.
That's why they got to call Indians in to do the job, because they can't handle it. Can you imagine Arabs trying to build the Dubai Tower? You know? It'd end up like kites flying around the sky.
Oh, wow. Yeah, constantly getting this stuff snagged on things.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that. But
that's why they bring in the Indians to do it for them.
Yeah.
Indians start up everything, you know. America, Dubai Tower, same thing.
Yeah.
Let's go build another country. There'll be a tax base. Of course, we don't get paid, but later on we get a casino. A lot of bells and whistles on a casino, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Baubles and bangles and things that sparkle.
It's like the natives, right? They just give them the casino and alcohol. Go have fun.
No alcohol while you got a casino, I don't think, because you might get robbed.
Yeah, well, the casinos I've been in, Atlantic City, they serve, it's pretty much free alcohol, but because they want you to be drunk so you play more, you know.
Yeah.
It's the
juicer, but they don't drink. Men that run are sober all the time, looking for an opportunity to get you to bet.
Yeah. But yeah. So how's your farm animals doing? How's the goats and chickens?
Well, they don't like being penned up, tied to a leash. But with the politics of the area, I have no choice. So.
Oh yeah.
The problem is when a doe gives birth, and the little one wanders beyond the range of the leash. The mother can't go and kind of push it back.
Right.
So, and it's not smart enough to figure out that it's not close. So they stay too far away for too long. And in wintertime, that basically means they die.
Yeah.
Because if they ever come back, they've been forgotten by the mother.
Oh. Yeah. It winters by you. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the time you can afford it to send some chicken feed for the goats and things. It's going to be 2 very cold months, I'm told.
Yeah, I see it already. It's the first time in a while it snowed before Christmas here,
Mm-hmm.
Past few years, it started in maybe middle January, February, But now it's like, it's really cold out there. So I can imagine about you.
The problem that I'm keep thinking about is if they flush the toilet of Lake Superior ahead of schedule, like I've been told there's a possibility that may occur in a period of February 23rd to April 14th.
Wow.
It would be just before the end of the Olympics in Vancouver and just after Easter, so in that period. The thing is, the St. Lawrence and the Great Lakes will shut down almost every refinery in Canada. Should that happen, you won't be able to get heating oil.
Yeah.
So since we operate with normally a combination of heating oil and wood, this year I decided to use whatever money we had to buy heating oil in December and use no wood, so that should the problem occur, we'll still have wood come January and February period. So that's what I've done.
Yeah, that's good. Good idea. Yeah. Oh man, so you think it would only be over by Lake Superior, right? So it would start with that.
Well, the whole program for the East has to involve Lake Superior breaking its bowl at Sault Ste. Marie. The water comes flushing down. Of course, at the base of the locks at Sault Ste. Marie, you're in a place called Gore Bay. Not an accident, I presume. Gore Bay will then, if the water goes straight ahead, will jump over a kind of a land bridge, and on the other side is Georgian Bay, which has Rigaud in it as well. So you got Gore Bay with Rigaud, and you got Georgian Bay with Rigaud. that stream of water would head straight through between Aurelia in the north, Owen Sound in the south, Midland in the middle, and it would be heading for Lake Simcoe, and then down the Trent Canal system to back to Lake Ontario at the base of the Trent Canal system. That would, in fact, create a triangular piece of land between that flow of water, Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. That whole area becomes a triangle. A triangle of land is known as a gore. Coincidence? On that triangle of land is Toronto, Hamilton, Barrie, London, Ontario, and Waterloo. Toilet.
Yeah.
Waterloo University was the place where Stephen Hawking announced last spring that he was retiring and moving to Canada. Waterloo. All of a sudden, during the summer, he changed his mind and decided instead, I think, to go to Harvard or something. Keep away from the toilets. So the other side, when the water comes down Sault Ste. Marie and flows out of Gore Bay, it goes into Lake Michigan. And I've been watching the weather reports on Michigan, and the MIT, for a period of about 2 weeks, which is the peninsula of Michigan, the entire part that represented the fingers was under a flood watch. So you can imagine if that land is under a flood watch before it happens, that it won't take very much to put it underwater totally.
Right.
Over the last week or so, the flood watch changed from the finger side of the peninsula to the thumb side of the peninsula. So that suggests that Lake Michigan and Lake Huron will become one lake because Michigan won't be there anymore. And then it flows into Lake Erie. And Erie thought that at the end of Lake Erie is Niagara Falls. And I remember back in the time when I was building the MICOT project, didn't actually build it, but was doing all of the planning and stuff like that. I had to fly, I think it was to Louisville, Kentucky, to address an audience at a tech show that was being held there. And on the way down, we flew over Niagara Falls. And looking down, the thing that was striking is there was no water in the falls on the American side. Just the Canadian Horseshoe was running, but the American side was completely dry. And I asked around what was going on, and I was told that the American Corps of Engineers had blocked it off with what they call a coffer dam, and were doing repairs there.
Yeah.
That sounded a little strange, since why would somebody do repairs on a
waterfall,
Niagara Falls, which over the last millennium has moved west 7 miles?
Oh, wow.
Do they really think that they're going to be able to put the brakes on it?
Yeah, erosion, man.
So it sounds to me more like they were arranging the floor of that stream part to direct the water that will come crashing through in a very specific direction.
Right.
And I suggest make sure that the Ohio Valley is completely flooded to extend that whole area. Now, do these engineers in the military know what they are doing, or are they just following orders? That's always been my question. Who in the military has the authority to prepare for the mass murder of millions of Americans? Don't know. Is it the political level, or is it the military level itself? Guys like the one that's running the show there over in Iraq now, Petraeus.
Betray us, huh?
Betray us, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the level at which this stuff is done?
Betray the U.S.
Yeah. The military betraying its own people. The other thing that was obvious when I was looking at all of this is Aurelia on Lake Simcoe is a quaint little place in Midwest northern Ontario. Not a place you would normally expect to find the headquarters of the Ontario Provincial Police. However, that's where they're located. Now, of course, OPP is a play on the word pap, the nipple, which is used in the system. And they were moved there by Frosty the Snowman, I think, because the politician's name was Frost. And it was, I think, his riding. And I believe he was Premier of Ontario or something at one time. Either that or Lieutenant Governor, and he could have been both. But that only would confirm that the controllers of the system consider the equivalent of your state police, your provincial police, as pawns that are disposable at the appropriate moment in time. Much in the same way as at the beginning of World War II, they built concentration camps, not in Germany, but in Poland. And the people who were sent there were gypsies, gays, and Masons. All disposable. So now we have a situation where we're looking at the possibility that a cataclysmic flood of water comes along when the bowl that is Lake Superior is destroyed from below by a blind thrust. And the water comes flowing down, and it's heading for the headquarters of the first responders.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the mess that would create and why millions of people would die?
Yeah. So they basically use the natural formations like Niagara as just a satellite and regeneration, like refocus of energy, right? So then now that new fresh water will come again, it charges itself back up and funnels it down. Yeah, it's like a satellite, basically.
Depending on what the American engineers really did, you could, in fact, be eliminating Niagara Falls and turning...
And dumping all that.
Niagara Rapids
Yeah.
So all of that water would then flow, and you would have a rising of the lakes at the lower level with an emptying of Lake Superior, and that would spread out over the land, making the Great Sea.
Yeah.
Now, added to that is the other part of that scenario. Should the Titanic contain, as I believe it does, a directional explosive charge, it could in fact be aimed in a way to send water either directly or as a result of a tsunami type activity by creating a hole, bringing the water in and then sending it back. It would send water all the way into the Gulf of St. Lawrence and up the St. Lawrence River as part of the basically drowning of the whole east coast of the United States. And on its way up the river, it would meet the water coming down from Lake Superior, since all of these things are being done manually, by people who make buttons push down or whatever. And that would mean that the meeting point of the two streams of water would be at about Kingston, Ontario. And across the lake from Kingston is Oswego, New York. Oswego.
Yeah.
You're going all right.
Going down to Flushing.
Yeah. They have, in fact, prepared everything and used the languaging to describe what is expected to happen. The only thing we don't know for certain yet is the date set. We know the window is 2008 to 2016. We know the thing they say is 2012 December. We know they always lie.
Yeah.
We know they use penultimate as the real thing they want to do is always when you least expect it, and that's usually a period before when they've told you it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So that would be my educated guess, November 11th, 2011.
Yeah.
They've kind of coded the highway around here. They've coded the signs on the highway, lest we forget, which relate back to November 11th.
Yeah.
Or is it true? Did they move the schedule up to make it happen this year? Now, I've told the Ontario Provincial Police all of this, and I have a contact that deals with them regularly. But under the circumstances that they, in fact, have just set up an activity to steal $200 a month from CIPI by creating this phony accident report that caused Perth Insurance to raise the price of the insurance here.
You said 200?
Sorry.
200 a month? Yeah, you said 200 something a month?
Yeah.
You serious?
It should be in the vicinity of $60, $70 a month, and it's $240 a month.
I pay, I think, $105 on, my car, and I'm younger. Usually the older you get, the less you're supposed to pay. Yeah. Not $300.
Well, we were paying something like $800 a year.
But it's supposed to go also off the value of your car, how new it is. Like if you're not driving, a Bentley or something that requires the.
What we insured was a truck that is 2002.
Right. Yeah.
It's basically worthless as far as insurance is concerned. So
that's right.
$3,200 a year or something is ridiculous.
That is, yeah.
It's equal
even with an accident, it'd be like, because there's no repairs.
We're not even insured for our side. We're only insured for damage to the other side.
Right. Yeah.
And only half of what normal people get. In any event, that's the little aspect. They also, in fact, drove the getaway car for the Prime Minister in 1991 when I had them in court. And that little episode probably cost me about $21 million, which was the value of my shares in the project that I was laying out the plan for the courts to see, that Bell Canada and the Prime Minister's office had conspired to get me to acquire the land so they could steal it from me. Knowing they couldn't get it themselves because there was a school on the site, they basically used me as their vehicle. And then they used me as the vehicle to steal the data the Royal Canadian Mounted Police had gathered in their files on this entire criminal conspiracy. So, the Ontario Provincial Police have played a key role deserving of a trial.
Yeah.
Management must, in fact, at one stage of the game, show that they have remorse and are changing their direction, or creation will arrange for their appearance at trial.
Yeah.
And the charge will be one of treason, punishable by capital punishment, making certain that at least the cleansing that occurred on the surface continues to the players in the political game who have caused such pain and anguish to the people of the world.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. I'm sitting here waiting for a response to my last letter to the Ontario Public Complaints Commission, where they told me that their role is not to investigate in the normal sense, only to read the file prepared by the police. I said, who's going to look at the car? If the car was involved in 4 crashes, as you suggest, there would be a mark.
Yeah.
There is no mark. Therefore, it's not true. Who's going to investigate the policeman who made this false accident report? Who's going to raid the insurance companies to find out how deep this conspiracy goes and to how many people in a year it extends? If they're stealing $2,000 a year from us, who have practically no money, imagine what they can do to the people of Ontario. And imagine if that's a worldwide system, since Perth Insurance is only one division of something that started in Australia and moved throughout the Western world to Scotland and eventually to Canada. So you're probably talking about billions of dollars a year that policemen are used to tollgate. Basically, that's what they're doing, is tollgating. Get a fee off of everybody over and above the regular fee that insurance companies would get. Now, who authorized that within the police? How do they get paid? Is it promotions? Is it a holiday in Bermuda that's paid by the insurance company? Who does all of that stuff? That's all the things that need to be investigated. I have the proper investigators. Will they be allowed to investigate?
Probably not.
Certainly not at this stage of the game. They have shown no remorse.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the opposite is true. From what I hear, they're trying to figure out how they could turn me into haggis, grind me up, so that I'm not available anymore. What they don't understand is they're not dealing with a normal situation. They're not in charge. Hubris does not apply here. They can't turn to the IRS and say, you're the hub, you fix it.
Yeah.
Can't be done. They're going to have to pay the price. I only serve when I sit and wait. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So when do you think these trials would actually end up taking place? Like how soon?
It all depends when one can consider my ship has come in. What does it mean your ship has come in? We, in fact, live in a place called Kempville Township.
Yeah.
North Grenville Township. Is that the ship? Or do I need to wait in the field to see the water rising and an actual ship arrive?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Or does that mean I win the lottery? You know, my ship has come in. Now I can spend the money. Can you hang on a second, Danny?
Sure.
Sorry, but the little toilet called. I went by the shout just in case it was the big toilet, but no, it was the little toilet. The one in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Lake Superior makes the perfect toilet. The tank above it all, filled with water, just waiting to flush.
Yeah, that's the biggest of the Great Lakes, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Think of how much water is in there. Don't know what the gallon capacity is, but what I know, because I had to study part of that at one stage, was that Canada has 9% of the free-flowing potable water on Earth. Most of it is in Lake Superior. Most of that potable water, in fact, is not free-flowing in Lake Superior, since only the annual runoff running into the lake and pouring over the edge at Thunder Bay, Sault Ste. Marie, their area, is what flows. The rest of it is a big bowl, big basin containing probably over 90% of the water. Now, break the bowl at its lowest point, which is where the locks are at Sault Ste. Marie, or destroy the northern peninsula of Michigan, because it has a southern and a northern peninsula. And all of that water will come crashing down. And I don't know how Chicago survives that.
Yeah.
I don't know how Detroit survives that, or how Cleveland or Buffalo.
Yeah, they're right on the water, so.
Yeah. Rochester with Kodak, they're making their new television system.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, Rochester, Buffalo.
All of that area.
Toledo. There's a London right over there too, right? On Canada
London,
side.
Ontario.
Yeah.
That's
all. That's a lot of water right there.
Yeah. CN Tower will be a marker, like a buoy.
Wow. That could be why they had the race to get them so high, right? So tall.
Yeah.
In the East, anyway, they didn't really do that in L.A. or. It's just.
Well, Seattle had to build a tower.
Yeah.
Toronto had to build one, and New York is building one. And this is for future visitors in their glass-bottom boats.
Yeah.
Going by, we'll be able to say, hey, look down, that was where New York was.
Oh, man. Oh, shit.
That's the only purpose. You explain to me, you live next to New York. You saw the helicopters and the mess that was made in New Orleans in trying to pick off a few thousand people off of the roofs of homes. Now, you take that concept and tell me what happens when every skyscraper on Manhattan is underwater up to the third, fourth floor.
Yeah.
Where does everybody go? To the roof? How do you pick off millions of people?
The roof is on fire.
No way.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of heliports up there, tennis courts, swimming pools already are on there. It's going to be a mess.
So you might be able to get, a few thousand people off. Where do you take them? If the flood extends beyond the range of the gasoline carried by a helicopter.
Yeah, yeah, right. They'll have to try to hook into a barge or something.
Yeah.
But
all of this people have never thought out, except the controllers of our world designed exactly where we would go as human beings and set up shop.
Right.
The pilgrims who came from Europe didn't come without any information whatever. The Indians had been sent first.
Yeah.
And the information about everything was transmitted to the other side and down below. And then when the immigrants arrived, they arrived with a piece of paper from the king that said, this is your ground position. You get this colony, you get that colony, you get this colony. None of that was done by accident. It was all designed to put people in the place where they would be the most vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Designing an island called Manhattan and putting steam pipes underneath. When you know that cold water on steam pipes cause explosion.
Explosion, yep. They do. They get burst pipes all the time, at least once a year.
Can you imagine when there's 40 feet of water over the top.
Cold water. Oh, man. Then there's no more buildings because they're all hooked into the buildings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the way the building came crashing down at 9/11 will be seen all over New York. You know, it almost appeared to me when I was watching the golf tournament from New Jersey, they had this shot that showed Manhattan in the background, that they've planned that to put a camera there to watch the buildings collapse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a movie that came out a couple of years ago. It's called The Day After Tomorrow. And they showed, it was basically from climate change, but it was rapid freezing. So water came in and just froze. Basically, it's the same thing if it's water is frozen or it's liquid form, the same thing. But it was all over Manhattan, just like froze everything, like the Arctic, you know. But water was all over that place. So,
yeah.
So that brings me to actually the reason I called. I couldn't sleep the other night. I was talking to Jared and Nambika, and we were just talking about all this stuff for a couple hours. And after I hung up, I'm just laying in bed like, all right, well, you know, I need to come up with some solutions for this, because this is something that's, you know, every day is like a second hand on the clock moving, you know. So
yeah.
Time is ticking.
13 brains.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's got to be, I think we should, or I would like to at least get some type of, maybe some type of, like, loose order, you know, where we can kind of have like a designated time to discuss something. Like we gotta, so it's kind of scattered right now with everyone everywhere. It's like everyone's talking, we're, you know, talking about this all day long, but, you know, okay, we're up to speed. I mean, people are doing their part, but I think we have to kind of have a little bit more focus if we're gonna, especially if you're saying the timeline might be this year. You gotta get moving, you know. So I would like to see what I can do. I'm trying to see what I can do, like as far as
organize it.
Yeah, I think that's
my only problem is the cell does not want me making arrangements to be at a certain place at a certain time, so that some people might focus on that. I don't know what they have in mind. You know, are they going to send a raiding party in to pick me up or something like that, or a cruise missile will come through the ceiling? That's the only thing that seems to be of concern to them. But we have to arrive at a point, you know, like you said. You know, it's time. I mean, we're running out of time here. We're in the window, and people have to be on the same page.
Yeah. I know one of the big issues is, you know, everyone has to go to the farm, I think, at least once. Those that can afford it or whatever, I think, should get there at least in spring when it's not so frozen. But you have to go through the whole process of being there, having you tell them the story face to face, start to finish, or, you know, to where you're at that point in time, and walking them around. I think that helps tremendously, because before I went there, it was just about, you know, researching the problems and researching all that stuff. And after I left there, it was about, okay, solution time. I think everyone has to come to that realization themselves. But you can look at this stuff every single day. Okay, you know, like, all right, how many times you got to know? Like, you got to reassure yourself. But so there's the, you know,
it's basically once you have the mental image of that field in the front, and the requirement of what needs to be done here, and the fact that all the people have to be able to create that image in their head. They don't need to be here all the time, but they have to at least know what it looks like and what we're talking about.
Right.
And begin this process of willing our will at a fixed time of day.
Yeah.
Because we're dealing with Scotland at one end and California at the other end. What is a time of day, you know?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is that we have to define the core drilling area this year, in 2010. Know exactly what needs to be done here should the resources become available. The second thing we have to do is make sure that those people who have a functioning brain are able to make it here in spite of the lack of personal resources.
Right.
So there has to be resources coming from a higher place. I keep reminding creation every night and every morning that, you know, there's only so much we can do, but creation has a responsibility, even if it doesn't do it directly.
Right.
There's a minimum amount of resources necessary, and it's better invested in people's brains than invested in equipment.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the reason I keep harping on if 30 people could be handed $100,000, that would liberate them from any excuse they would have of not being able to do their part. Knowing that you cannot, just because people tell you they care, you can't believe that. You have to go by another principle, and the principle of grand jury was always that you had to have a lot more people than you needed because you couldn't trust most of the people. So if you're looking for 13, bring in 30. And from 30, you get 13. The concept is that no one is perfect. And the best that a person can be is a percentage of perfection. And in physics, that's somewhere around 7.7%. If someone was 7.7% perfect, and you assembled 13 such people, that adds up to 100%. So that's basically the principle in physics.
How many we got now?
Sorry?
How many do we have now?
I don't ever want to say
I hear
that we have. All I can say is I know I'm there.
Same
Everybody
here.
else has to look at themselves and say, I'm there or I'm not there. You know, but I'll never be able to make that judgment. All I know is that if I had $3 million to distribute to 30 people tomorrow, I know probably about 25 to 28 people to which I would send $100,000. You're one of them, by the way, whether you like it or not. And Third is one, and Ambika is one.
Definitely.
Those are among the people I've met recently.
Yeah.
But I can't make that kind of decision if I've never seen or heard the person. You know, it's one thing to just talk on the phone.
Yeah.
What I need is to hear the person talking to me, and it's not their eyes that are important to me. It's there's a communication based on sound and sensory waves that I must have within a certain distance of me. In the same way that cats can do their communications, there has to be a number of them, and they have to be within a certain area, because the strength of the communications is more like a local area network than a broadcaster. When I have people who talk to me, I hear probably differently than most people. The thing comes back down to, do you hear what I hear?
Yes.
From that concept, I will find 30 people. Most will be a disappointment.
Yeah.
But 13, hopefully, will come through, make things happen.
I say now's the time, you know. What are you waiting for? I try to. What are you waiting for? You know.
Well, you guys have the beginnings of it all. There has to be a balance here between people my age and people your age.
Yeah.
There has to be a balance of race. Want to see all races represented if possible. You want to make sure that both genders are represented. I don't have numbers in mind. It's a little bit like the Cardinal told me when I was 5 years old, you'll know it when you see it.
Yeah. You'll feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sent me out on a 50-year journey.
Could have been worse.
Yeah. You could have told me big toes.
Yeah, right. You're looking for moles.
As interesting a project.
Yeah, it could have been you're looking for hairy moles or something, you know.
Yeah.
So connect the dots and you'll see. Yeah.
So I leave it up to you to deal with Jared and Ambika and others to get something going. And if part of what you need is a conference call on a semi-regular basis, then let me know, and I'll do what I can to make it happen at my end. You know?
Yeah, I think what I might be able to do is, for instance, I posted pictures of your farm on the net, and even a picture of where we want everyone to sit, in that area.
Yeah.
So I don't know if them seeing those images can maybe help a little, or do they have to actually see it? Obviously seeing it themselves would be the best, but maybe just like a little, seeing that image and being able to focus might push them along until they get there.
I don't want to make any comment on that because I'd be the only one doing the thinking. I would rather that thinking process become distributed from the beginning.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I'm thinking out loud then. Out loud. So that's kind of the reason why I took the pictures in a way that was
from where I was standing, like basically the way you took me around and you showed and told me the story is the way I took the pictures in like that type of sequence, so I could. That's how I, you know. So, yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we'll leave it at. Yeah, I'm taking that in. So. My hair's long enough right now where I'm starting to get my
Your
my
antenna ready.
Yeah, it's extending. So, all right. So yeah, that's my project, and I'll figure out something and I'll update you. And I started communicating with Ambika a little bit more regularly. So
if we get any news at this end, I might focus on Ambika, you, and Gerd in order to whoever I can get a hold of first to pass on the information to the others. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, Yes, we'll pass it along to each other. We're in a little tight communication network, I guess you can call it now. So
there's another guy that calls, and after a while I don't remember all the names, but he seems to be ready to participate, and he's from San Diego. His parents are Muslim, if you know who I'm talking about.
Oh,
seems
okay.
Connected to that group of yours.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
So you might want to include him too, but that's only because he tells me I haven't yet been able to see if it's possible. But he's supposed to be coming here this summer.
I know some people in Brazil that are trying to get up to you as well when, I guess the time is appropriate. But
Brazil is important because it is the door to the southern hemisphere. The Hindu transfer has already begun. Everything in the northern hemisphere is being focused in a way that ends up in India, just like gold. And from there, it seems to be headed towards Brazil. So it would be nice to have that participation there, from there.
Yeah. And Scotty too. So you got some angles.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Well, I'll put the word out.
Good.
And let them show themselves.
Have a good year.
You too, and enjoy that birthday of yours, that reborn day.
Yeah, my date of equilibrium.
Have a Pepsi on me.
Okay.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
All right.